friends. So today we're going to be doing my December wrap up, and we're going to be doing a get ready with me style because I got to go to work today and I don't have time to film a normal December wrap up. So this is going to work. The lighting might not be ideal because I have to have my overlight on because I live in Victoria and it rains all the goddamn time, like today. And there's the window behind me, but it's cloudy and I don't think it's that terrible. It's probably terrible. I don't really care because this is how it's going to be rolling. I've got my laptop with me because I've basically forgotten everything I've read already. And we're going to start by getting ready. And my hair's wet because I just had a shower. We're not dealing with that. We're just going to put my makeup on. We're going to talk about books. It's going to be great. We're going to get this all done. Time efficiency. Well, I guess I don't even know. How do I do a get ready with me? I don't even know how to do a book to wrap up. We're going to try to put them together. This is going to be hard. So I'm going to put on my primer and we're going to talk about the first book that I read this month. And it was The Greatest Love Story Ever Told by Megan Mullally and Nick Offerman. And I love both Megan Mullally and Nick Offerman. If you don't know, Nick Offerman was in Parks and Rec and he's just bloody funny. And Megan Mullally was in, what's the show called? Megan Mullally was in Grace. Shoot. She was in another sitcom. It's just lost me. It's an older one, but they love each other and I really wanted to listen to their story. So I listened to an audiobook. I gave it 5 stars. It's pretty awesome. So basically they just talk about how they met and basically their everyday lives and how their relationship works. And it's pretty cool. This is going to be hard because I don't know where to look, but it's really funny. I would definitely advise listening to it on audiobook because you can hear them talk and like banter back and forth, which makes it so much more funny. Obviously, if you don't know who these people are, this book is probably not going to be for you. But if you love either Megan Mullally or Nick Offerman, I highly advise you check this one out because it's really good and they're really funny. I like their like takes on things too. Oh. There goes my beauty blender. Alright, so I just chased my beauty blender back from underneath the bed. So I like their thoughts on like the world and each other and love, and I feel their relationship's really wholesome and funny and it's just lovely. Obviously they're not perfect people and they talk about that, but it's still really good. And I definitely advise you check it out. Definitely on audio though. And if you really want to see the pictures, just go in a bookstore and open up and flip through the pictures and then just listen to audio. That's what I did. It's great. Alright, so I think I finished up my foundation. It looks okay. I was using this stuff. It's not great, but it gets the job done because I don't want to put my nice foundation on today for work. And then the next book I read was the novella bind up for the Three Dark Crowns series. So The Queens of Fenburn by Kendar Blake. There's 2 different books in that, or sorry, 2 different novellas in that one bind up. It's I forget what they're called, but one is about the queens when they were younger, and then the other one's the Oracle Queen, which is about, if you know the series, about a queen, a type of queen from the queens of past. I really enjoyed the Oracle Queen better than I did I think it's the Young Queens. I could do the whole book about her. She was really interesting and I liked that storyline. It was a really cool, interesting story and it gave us a really cool history back in that world. And then the Young Queens was a really interesting as well. It was just okay. I gave the full bind up 3 stars. I think if I would have had to break them up, the Oracle Queen I would have gave 4 and then the Young Queens I would have gave 3. It gave us some good background into the story as well, and it was a really good way for me to jump into the 3rd book without having to reread the first 2 because it's been a little bit since I read that. It was the 2nd book in the series. One Dark Throne was the first book I read in 2018, so it's been a full year since I read it, and now I'm trying to read 2 Dark Reigns. Yeah, 3 Dark Reigns. What is it? 2 Dark Reigns. So I'm trying to read 2 Dark Reigns right now, and yeah. And it was a really easy way to jump back into the story. It was good. If you read the series, if you really like it, I'd check it out. If you don't care, it's not necessary, I don't think. I'll let you know later once I get through this book if I feel like it's necessary, but right now it was good, but still unnecessary. Alright, so we're going to do some powder and we're going to talk about the next one. So after that, I grabbed another book on audiobook and it's called, let's see if I can do it here. There we go. Yeah, it's called A Sucky Love Story by Brittany Louise Taylor. She's a YouTuber on, clearly, she's a YouTuber on YouTube. And she did like sketch comedy kind of stuff. But recently she'd been doing kind of vlog content because she met some guy, got pregnant, and got engaged, and made like a video called I'm Pregnant and Engaged. Well, turns out that relationship was a mess. And he was essentially a psychopath. And this is like and she wrote a book about it because she needed a way to tell her fans what had happened. So essentially I read that book because I needed to know, because I'm curious. And it was a really interesting story about like abusive relationships and what happened in that specific relationship. If you don't watch Brittany's videos, I don't think you'd be interested in it. I don't think the book was very well written. It could have probably used some more edits, and maybe even a co-writer would have maybe helped it a lot. But it was still very interesting if you knew the story, if you know Brittany, or you knew what is going on. Oh, whatever. If you knew the situation and you wanted to kind of get filled in. And story is, granted, is quite insane, and I can understand why she wanted a full book to be able to tell it instead of just a YouTube video, because it's nuts. But I like her voices better in her YouTube videos when she's speaking, her speaking voice more than her written voice. And I think I've listened to a few podcasts of it afterwards, and I've enjoyed those better, where she recounts like details from the story. And I think that works better than the book did for me anyway. I just like her voice, her speaking voice, better than the written one. But if you need to know what went down, definitely check it out. I listened to it on audio because I looked at the sample and I could tell it wasn't very well written, and I'm so sorry about that. It's not bad, it's just might have used some more edits, that's all. And she's not a writer. Oh, somebody's walking outside my window. And is never a writer. This is the first book she's ever written, so it's not magic, but it's interesting, definitely interesting. I think I gave it like a 3 stars because I was involved in the story and I listened to it in like no time flat, but it's not my favorite thing in the world. God. Did I put too much blush on? Looks like I put way too much blush on. Ah! Camera makes me hard. It looks better in the mirror than it does on camera. Whatever, I don't care. I'm making a huge ass mess, but that's fine. So I'm gonna put some highlighter on. I got this for Christmas. It's like the Hamptons Weekender palette by Tarte. It's okay. It's pretty good. Now I got the camera back in focus. The next book I read was Motherhood by Sheila Heti. So she's a Canadian author, and I heard Ariel Bissett talking a ton about her, and this book was nominated for the Giller. So I wanted to pick it up. It's about a woman who's in her like late 30s trying to figure out if she wants to have children. And I think historically she didn't really want to. So now that she's at the age where it's basically now or never, she's trying to make that decision if it's yes, this is going to happen, or no, it's not. And how like society pressures women of her age and like young women in their 20s and 30s to have kids, and what is like my place in society if I don't have children, because women are so forced to have children. Oh, this is gonna be hard. The eyeliner is gonna be, or this is gonna be hard. So I listened to this one on audio as well, because I listen to a lot of books on audio, especially December. December was a hard reading month for me because it's the holidays, and sometimes it's just hard. I just found it hard to find the time to read because I was doing stuff. When I was off, I was doing like holiday stuff and hanging out with my fiance, all that good stuff. So it was hard to read. I read 5 books, which is actually not bad for me, but I don't read a lot of physical books. I listen to a lot of audiobooks. Okay. Anyway, so I listened to this one audiobook, and I didn't know if I was going to finish this when I first started it. I loved sections of this book, and then other parts of this book I felt kind of lost. I was kind of jarred by the writing style at first. I wasn't expecting that when I started listening to it, so I wasn't into it right away. It took me a few minutes, like half an hour to an hour of audiobook listening to really feel like I knew what was kind of going on in the story. And then when I got into it, I started to really enjoy it. I loved the discussion about having kids because I'm getting married someday in the next 2 years or so. And this is going to be a discussion I'm going to be having in my future is when is kids right for me, or when is I suspect I want children. But I could relate to some of the discussions she was having in her head about the pressure of having children and being a woman. And that sucks because, like, men don't have that same pressure to have kids like women do, which is kind of trash. And I want to be able to make my own decision and not feel like the pressure of society making that decision for me. And I totally get where this book came from, and I liked the discussion. I gave it a 3 stars on Goodreads. I don't really know. I think I might take that down. It's really well written and it's a really good story. It just, not every piece of it connected with me. There were some bits of it that I kind of felt lost in, but when she was focused on her inner monologue, because it's mostly written as like an inner monologue inside of her head, that's what I really enjoyed. The inner monologue of her thoughts. But there were some sections where she went to like a psychic and she talked about her relationships, and some of those sections I got lost in and I didn't relate to as well as the main discussion on having children. But if you are a woman, if you think about having kids, if you want to read some more Canadian lit, if you want to read more women, definitely check this book out. It was definitely worth the read. Alright, I think I finished my eyeshadow. I don't know if I put on too much for work, but I don't really care. I'm going to show you my last book that I read this month, and it was my favorite book I read this month, and it's one of the favorite books I've read this year. Let me grab it. I brought it out. It is The 7 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle by Stuart Turton. This was amazing. This is everything. I'm going to put it back down so I can finish getting ready, but it's a mystery thriller. Or it's more of like a mystery with some cool speculative elements, I guess. So it's about this guy who wakes up in essentially a murder mystery, and he has to solve the murder. But every day, it's like Groundhog Day, so every day he redoes the day every day. And every single day he wakes up in a different person's body, and he has 7 days to solve the murder. And it was hella amazing. So this book is one of my favorite books of the year, which I'm hopefully going to get to talk about before I go to work again today and film later, but we shall see. I just really loved how this book was set up. It had an excellent cast of characters, and I just loved each of the different bodies that he was in and how it affected the case as he moved from person to person. And it was actually, I thought I had figured the whole thing out. I was like halfway through and like, I know who did it. And I did it. I had no idea. There was like an 11th hour twist that made everything just come together so nicely and surprised the hell out of me. And it's a wonderful twist on like a classic murder mystery. So if you're tired, if like you loved like Agatha Christie or like old school mysteries, it's kind of like that, but with like a cool new modern twist to make it new and relevant and exciting. Because like I feel like just going to an old house and there's a big party and somebody is murdered has been done 1.5 million times. But with the new twist of different bodies, and there's some other twists in there that I'm not going to talk about, gives it such a fresh new feel, and it is super awesome. If you like, there's some other like extra fantasy, or like not fantasy, but like speculative elements in there, because obviously he's waking up in a new body every single day. That's a little speculative. So I think that adds so much to the story, and there's so much to discover and so many cool, interesting things. It happens in like some old like Victorian house that's like a rundown estate, and there's mystery surrounding that. It's really, really, really good. If you love a good mystery or like a good thriller, definitely check this one out. It is top notch. I loved every second of reading it, and I would love more people to check it out. know a few people, I've seen it here on BookTube for a few different people talking about it. I know Emily Fox talked about it for sure, and probably a couple others, but I definitely tell you to go check it out. I'm just gonna finish up my eyebrows. So that's all the books I read this month, and that's all the books I read this month. I finished reading the 7 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle on New Year's Eve, or no, the day before, on the 30th. So I got it in right under the wire. And the Sheila Heti book. So I got that in under the wire, and I finished up 70 books this year. I only thought I was going to get through one of those. I thought I was going to finish 69, so I'm really happy that I got through 70. And I'm happy that I read 5 books in December. That's above my normal goal. My goal every month is to read 4. Sometimes I read 10, sometimes I read 2. It's just the way life is sometimes. So I got through a good chunk of awesome books, and I'm excited for the new year. And I guess what I'm reading right now, I've probably mentioned it, is Two Dark Reigns by Kendar Blake. I am like 100 so pages in. Yeah, about 150 pages in. It's good. I like that series a lot, so I'm excited to see where it's going. And I'm also reading right now What If It's Us by Becky Albertalli and Adam Silvera. So I'm listening to that on audio. I'm hoping to get through that too. And I'm excited to see what January brings. Let me know what you read this month down below. I'll link all the books that I read, as well as some other videos that I've done. This is only my 3rd video. I can't wait for the rest of the year. I'm hoping to film my best of 2017 right now. I'm gonna figure that out, and then I'm gonna eat lunch and go to work. Have a great day. I hope you stick around. Definitely like and subscribe if you feel like it. I will talk to you later. Bye.